Hello, welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator and the PMDG 747. We're here on the ground in Sochi, and do you know what I'm going to do today? Something a little bit different. Never done this before in the PMDG, and that is we're going to set ourselves a dual engine failure in the form of a fire. So I've got the failures page here, engine 1, and rather than it coming on a certain height, it's just based on time. I will pause the video and bring you back a little closer, but for now, it's going to be 20 minutes. Okay, so I assume we just drop it in there. Will it let me have it? What about if we arm it? Now? There we go. All right, armed in 20 minutes. Okay, let's return. Engine 2. We'll arm this one, and we'll give this one in 20 minutes and 20 seconds. All right, there we go. Exec. Right, so with that, we're all set to go. I'm about ready for departure. I'll bring you back in about 18 minutes time. This is DCS country, those with the Caucuses. Well, everybody's got the Caucuses. This is Sochi. And there's the Caucuses. Beautiful reflection with the clouds on the water. Alright, well, let's see how long till this engine conks. Let's begin cleaning up. So auto brakes off, flaps 5 to 1. We can bring them all the way in. So with that, gear lever off, starter switch is off, taxi light, turn off lights off, logo light and wing light off. Release the cabin crew. We'll assume now ATC's cleared us all the way up to hang on, why isn't grabbed the LNAV? Autopilot, what you doing? I had heading and LNAV selected on departure and it didn't grab it. Oh well. Let's just go direct to let's go there for now. LNAV. Now it's got it. It's never my fault. Something you learn, right? Never my fault. Shimmy over to the first officer's side. Very nice. Put the center tanks on. There we go, from the jump seat. Tell you what, right, one little thing that I really like about the PMDG 737 in Flight Sim 2020 is the fuel tank reading sloshes about depending on if you're climbing or descending, or if there's like a load of turbulence, the numbers will actually go up and down, which is a really nice touch. And I don't recall, that's not to say that I've never seen it before on another aircraft on any sim, but I don't recall having seen it before until this one. Alright, I'll bring you back. It's not too far away from the time when we were expecting the engines to catch fire. So may as well leave you here. We're just passing 10,000 feet now, so we'll do away with the landing light. Auto start switches are off. We're pretty much set for cruise now. There is terrain, you know, the Caucuses, so we'll put the terrain on. And when that's happening, your side, which it does, has the weather. Okay. I guess because we do know it's coming, we'll put the airport overlay on. See our departures there, just under 10 miles away. Looking good coming through the clouds. That's one thing actually I've noticed with X-Plane lately. They've done a lot of work on the clouds just in the last, I don't know, last update I think. This is the first time I will have ever had any sort of engine failure in Flight Sim 2020. So I'll be curious to see first of all if engine fire is a fire, as in, does it work? Do we get the fire bells ringing down there? And then when we go outside, do we actually see fire? And I just want to... Yeah, it's all good. Alright, we're leveling off at an intermediate point on the climb, 14,000 feet, that's fine. Let's just check actually that the fire is due to come. PMDG setup, aircraft failures, next page, fire, programmed, armed, yes, okay, 2 minutes 20 seconds. Alright, what I'll do is I'll leave that there and I'll bring you back. Alright, welcome back. I've put an override on the speed just so we got a little faster, and if we come down here now to engine fire, we can see we've just got about 30 seconds to go. Interestingly enough, this does not seem to count down, so to get an update you've actually got to come out and go back in, then we see it like that, which is great. So we'll leave that there. We know it's just 20 seconds or so away, and at this point we don't know any different, but we're going to resume climb to 31,000 or flight level 310. There we go. Tell you what, we'll leave it on open climb. 310 knots. And so yeah, internet flight rules over the Caucuses, and ring a ding ding, engine 1 fire. So that was the first one, and unfortunately, yeah, we don't seem to have fire in a graphical sense tipping out the back. That is unfortunate, but we do have the engine fire, so let's do that. And so engine 1 fire confirmed, so we'll disconnect the auto throttle. We'll close the throttle. We'll shut it down. And we'll pull. And we'll activate agent number 1. Right, we've also got a fire in 2. So we'll ring the bell. Autopilot's been disconnected. We check that. Throttle's been shut, and let's pull that off, pull that out, and oops, and activate agent 1. So it looks like the fire's been extinguished in the engine 1, so we're going to have to turn now, and we've got no working electric trim, so we have to actually manually turn this, so you'd have to actually do that with your hands. And we're just going to lose a little bit of speed. We've got no autopilot. Where's the autopilot disconnect button? That sounds like the autopilot disconnect to me. There we go. Okay. And it is. Right, let's keep the turn going. We need to head back to base, and once we are low enough, we need to get the APU started. So I'm going to turn off some of these pumps, turn them all off apart from the one for the APU. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but I believe it's something like 18,000 feet. So let's go for it. APU start. Bleeds to the engines. They'll have already been shut off, but just in case, we'll turn those off. We'll open the isolation valve, ready for when the APU is ready. Right, I'm going to carry on trimming back because we know it's going to be, we need to trim for best glide and green dot speed. You know, it's usually 5 or 10 knots, no more, above flaps up. So this is the first time, and I have to say, the speed seems to be bleeding off loads quicker than it does for, you know, than what I'm used to. Let's say it like that. Like, the energy bled off really quickly up there. So we are now gliding. And I do like that there's no engine sounds on the outside. I did this recently in, I can't remember the aircraft, but it was in one of the ones on X-Plane. We went to the external view and it sounded as though the engines were running when they weren't. So still trimming back. Once I get the APU on, I should be able to trim using my trim wheel again. There we go. That looks to be about right. APU says it's on, which is great. Oops, wrong way. There we go. So that's on bus. APU bleed on. And so there we go. We've got our APU powering the aircraft again, electronically and hydraulically. So in theory now, we should be able to use trim. Yep, that's good. The trim. So I'm going to set up for at least get the autopilot working. So I'm going to go for something like 230. We'll limit the bank a little bit as well. Auto throttle is off. Let's see then if the autopilot gets it, and we'll go for flight level change because we're going down regardless. And for the speed, Again, I'm going for green dots. So we see there flaps up speed is about 202 knots. So a good green dot speed would be something like 209, 210 again. We're talking 5 or 10 knots. The heavier you are, it's going to be more like 10 knots above flaps up. If you really like, more like 5. And again, depending on how much headwind you've got to factor that in. The more of a headwind, you're going to want to go a little faster anyway. Right, Autopilot's doing a real good job here. I like it. And if we take a look here, let's zoom in a little bit. There is Sochi. And again, we've got the course style here, which is set for a VOR beacon that we had for departure. Yeah, it's coming down actually a little gentler now than I would expect. 700, 800 feet a minute without any engines at all. You know, it's different to idle thrust, of course. Idle is, you know, the engines are still producing a little bit of power. That's why they move when they're on the ground. And flight idle is even higher. There's Sochi down there. So we'll definitely be coming in for a turn. I don't really know how much height to expect to lose in the 180, but what I do know is... Actually, let's increase the bank angle a little bit. Let's give ourselves 25 degrees. So my plan, and I'm going to set it up right now, if we take a look on the charts here, if I just pull it there for a sec, is... We can forget our arrival because we're not going there, our destination. This here is Sochi, where we took off from. We're currently, if we imagine my mouse as the aircraft, we're currently over here flying like this. We're flying in a westerly direction. My plan is to then swing round over the sea, come in on runway 06. We can see it's like a 9,500 foot runway. That is the plan, runway 06. And if I select the airport itself, let's see if we can get an ILS frequency. So we have one, here we go, 06. I'm just after the frequency here. It's 1110 and it's 058 degrees. So let's get rid of that. 1110 058. Keep an eye on the height, we're fine. There we go, 1110 058, and your side is still on the VOR. I think, let's just switch to 1270. There we go, your side, so this green arrow's pointing towards the airfield. My side is set up for the ILS. Remind myself, what was the runway heading? 058. Yeah, we don't want to stop at 10,000. We want to keep descending. Gonna put on a little bit of speed now because we know we can make it. The local pressure I'm going to switch to will be the same as when we left, which was 10.9 QNH 1009. And just for situational awareness, I'm going to put the VOR your side as well. 058. So I'm going to try and set myself up with this. Airport above sea level. I think it said something like 58 feet. So the... I think, is this the Red Sea or the Black Sea? It's one or the other. But if we come over here, but it's 39 feet elevation anyway, the runway, so almost zero. So we can go off the altitude here. We don't got to factor in anything else. And the zoom here, the very edge of where this carrot is 10 miles. It's a little worse than 3-to-1 without engines, the glide ratio, so it's not like idle where you could really go for 3-to-1. It's not quite 4-to-1, but it's... So my plan, again, because I don't know exactly how much energy we're going to lose in the turn, is to do a left turn like a base, and if I'm like way too high, we'll actually overshoot the final approach and then do like an S turn back. So that's the plan. So let's make a start on it now. And I may even put a little bit of speed on now so I can cash that speed in at the end if I'm coming in low. Goes without saying, it's going to be auto brake max because we've got no reversers, and if we come in hot, which we probably will be, gonna need it. Right, landing speeds for the purposes of just knowing what it is. Well, whether it's a 15, 30 or 40, we'll go with 15 to begin with, just because that's the least drag. And then if we need to start dumping more flaps, which we will do anyway, we'll do so towards the end. 1150, 236 on the course. That's very... that must be the opposite end of the runway. We're not coming in that side. Right, so here's our final approach. Yeah, so to me, we're just a little bit too high here for this. So we're going to go around. Do you know what? May even be worth... we've got this other runway here. May be worth going for that. We'll see. We've got this little... extended center line here. That was actually our departure, that one, so we could go for that one. Right, we're at 5. I'm just going to keep dialing this down to 0 because we've got nothing to gain by not doing. Back to the level change, and let's start making a little turn in. I'm going to do away with the Navigraph charts now. It's just a distraction there. And I'm going to carry on with the turn. Let's keep going. I'm going to make it shallow. Just... we want something like that. It's maybe a little... yeah, it's a little too shallow, is that? Put a couple more degrees on. That'll do nicely. I like what I'm seeing. Bit more. And again, if it looks like we've got ways too much energy when we come in, we could even just do a little S-turn and shimmy over to the other runway. So I do like the options that we've got here. Can hear the APU running. Gotta say, this is my very first time, as I said, doing this. I've done the engine failure on the X-plane. Had one in real life as well on a single engine prop, if you can believe that. What's happened to my... my tracker has decided to pack in, which is fair enough. So we'll keep it on that view there. Right, let's disconnect. Because we're way too hot and high now.
Bank angle.
Don't care about the bank angle.
Bank angle. Bank angle. Bank angle.
There's no way I can do a 360. Do you know what? I'm not so sure about that because of our speed. If I gain the height... Right, we're at flaps up speed. You know what? I'm not going to risk it because we've still got another 270 degrees to go for a 360. Right, let's go flaps 2.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
I'm going flaps 2 for the track by. Look how long they take.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
I could really do with my track air right now.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
Doesn't usually conk, but you know, if it's gonna conk, it's always at the worst time, like when you're landing. Right, this looks great. I'm happy with this.
Bank angle.
2500.
Speed's coming back, so I'm gonna go flaps 5. Gonna dump the gear as well. Go on, how do I arm these? There we go. Speed brakes are armed. We are coming in hot, and I'm almost wondering... Yeah, we're going to go for the other runway. This one here, I could dive for it, but I still feel like we need to then stop as well. Right, flaps 10 for the drag. So my plan is, once I start this turn, which is about now, is to keep adding flaps.
1000.
But it's going to be a sharp turn to final, but we've got lots of speed in the tank.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Pull up.
I'm going to put a little bit of slip on, forward slip, because we're still high energy.
Pull up. Sink rate.
More flaps. And I know my view. Hang on.
50,
There we go.
40,
I'm going to have to
30.
bury it a little bit. Go on.
20, 10.
Right, we're down. Flaps, flaps. Go on, where's my brakes? Why, look at the speed she's at. What's wrong with the brakes, man? They're not working. They're not working. Ugh. Ugh. Ouch, that hurt. Oh, bang. That's the end of that. I'm not sure why the brakes weren't working. I had them armed and then I stood on the pedals as well, you can see. And there was just nothing. And so other than the brakes not working, and the thing is, look at this, the gear's down, we've got 3 green, and the pressure's in the green. So why weren't the brakes working? Has anybody got any ideas? I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, I screwed up yet another emergency. Until next time, wherever in the world you may be, take care. Internet flight rules. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See you again. Bye-bye.